some of the things said in a book that is causing problem everywhere, with people asking what exactly is wrong with our leaders. Are they intentionally wicked? Do they intentionally take away history from us so they can come back anytime they wish and come give us any story that they feel like giving us? We are where we are as a nation because of what happened in 1993. If what happened in 1993 didn't happen, most of the things that we are experiencing today as regards to elections and the crop of leaders that we have, it's not going to happen. The latest trend in the Nigerian corridors of power right now is you committing atrocities, acting above the laws, and returning decades after to come, publish a book, rewrite histories, and tell us stories that best suits your own image or maybe any impression that you are trying to create. Wonders the saying shall never end in this Nigeria. I don't know why Nigerian leaders think that we are dummies, that they keep anywhere and come tell us any story, we'll buy it. They do things that sometimes you begin to ask yourself, are you actually mentally unstable? Or is what you heard that's making your head to do somehow? When it comes to brainwashing, they have it A1. Then when it comes to playing on your intelligence, they can do that one excellently well without even stressing themselves. They would see that this color is white and they would come forward and tell you this is a black color. Whether you like it or not, they are going to employ all the machineries, whatever is going to take for them to prove to you that this is white and not black. I don't know how many of us can still remember the era when we had animals, going into Aso Rock and swallowing huge amount of money. I was even during the EndSARS of 2020, the EndSARS process that happened in 2020. We know how we all witnessed and saw everything. And when the government came out to give their own account of the event, they gave us a contradictory account of what happened. They gave questionable account of what happened. It's indeed a surprising situation in this country called Nigeria. Anyways, let me first of all officially welcome you to another edition of Kiwi Show. During the military regime, Nigeria had in total 8 military heads of state, and the sixth on this list was General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, popularly known as IBB. So IBB took over power by orchestrating a coup against his military and political arch-rival Muhammadu Buhari and ruled Nigeria as a military president from 1985 up until 1993 when he resigned as a result of the crisis of the Third Republic. Now, this military dictator's 8 years reign was known back then as Babangida era, and it's a story that people who witnessed it then still talk about it to this very moment because it's a mixed reaction, a mixed report. Like they have the good side of it as well as the bad side of it. Babangida's era was also characterized by multiple cases of corruptions, tyranny, misappropriation of the nation's funds and resources. In some quarters, it's said that his administration misappropriated at least $12 billion. Run the calculation now, you are going to know what is giving you in Naira today. And that's not all. The Babangida regime oversaw different executions and assassinations of some people who were perceived to be a threat to the then government. Execution of Maman Vatsa in 1985, assassination of a very prominent Lagos journalist, Delegiwa, in 1986. If you're a mass communication student, you are going to know the story very well because it's impossible for you to be taught the history of mass communication and the Nigerian media space without you being told the story of Delegiwa, how Delegiwa was killed through a letter bomb. And that was not all. We also had the trials of hundreds of soldiers, all that happened during IBB's era. Now, moving on. In 1989, IBB started making plans for the transition to the Third Nigerian Republic, and he also legalized the formation of a two-party system with the Social Democratic Party and National Republican Convention, NRC, ahead of the 1992 general elections. The election didn't happen as planned in 1992, but on June 12, 1993, the election took place. And it was in that election that the story of Moshood Abiola came up. So Moshood Abiola under SDP won the presidential election with over 2.3 million votes. The election was later annoyed by General IBB, who cited electoral irregularities, national security considerations, and what have you. This did not sit well with a lot of Nigerians that time. Immediately, the nation was thrown into turmoil. We had a nationwide protest because some persons believed that IBB had ulterior motives, and he didn't also want to concede defeat to Moshood Abiola, who was a Yoruba businessman that time. So after that, Moshood Abiola was arrested, imprisoned. Also, his wife was assassinated. Now, all this and many more happened under the watch of IBB when he was the military leader, the military head of state of Nigeria. Fast forward to February 2025, 32 good solid years after, the former military ruler comes back to release his autobiography titled A Journey in Service. If you haven't read the book, I would advise that you go read, but just keep watching because we are going to be looking at some of the things said in a book that is causing problem everywhere, with people asking what exactly is wrong with our leaders. Are they intentionally wicked? Do they intentionally take away history from us so they can come back anytime they wish and come give us any story that they feel like giving us? Writing their own history, as I earlier said when we started this video. So the book launch was such a colorful one, well attended, by the political bigwigs. We had the likes of the former president Olusegun Obasanjo in attendance, even some of the past leaders as well as the present president of Nigeria in the person of Bola Ahmed Tinubu in attendance. And we saw how these persons commended Babangida for the book, raised him, poured encomium on him. And at the end of everything, I'm just thinking, what exactly once again is wrong with our leaders? Because this book became a matter of national discourse because of the things involved in it. Anyways, it has come to be a topic of discussion because of the lies that were told in the book. I just have to call a spade a spade. Yes, I have to use that word lies because they were lies actually. Babangida did not give a true representation of some of the things that happened during his time, the time when he was at the helm of affair. And what's even more annoying are those persons who were there, the persons who would have stood up to him to tell him, excuse me sir, you got it all mixed up here, you got it wrong here, this was what actually happened. But those persons sat down there, clapped, and not only clapped, they even raised 17.5 billion naira for Babangida to build his presidential library project. And I'm asking myself, presidential library project, is it for us to go and read more lies? How is that even a problem? Misplaced priorities, that's all we keep having in this country. People are hungry out there in the streets and you are coming up with a presidential library. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but what happened to the one that we even have right now? And you people contributed 17.5 billion naira. Meanwhile, I've not even seen this crop of politicians come together to donate such amount towards the welfare of Nigerians who have been put in abject poverty, people whom have been exposed to untold hardship because of the harsh economic policies by the present administration. I think this is also the reason why the federal government, scrapped out history from primary class, primary level to junior secondary school. This is part of the reason history is not taken seriously in this country. Because how do you take out a history from the primary level of education up onto the junior secondary school level? This is a time that you are supposed to tell the newest generation their history, their story, what happened. But because there are interests that need to be actually safeguarded, there are interests that need to be taken into consideration, history is not taken seriously as it ought to be taken in this country. So it would be easy for our leaders to come back tomorrow and come tell us, oh, it's a lie. This is what actually happened, not this. Now, one of the things that has actually got Nigerians really talking about the 420-page autobiography of IBB is the 1993 elections annulment. Anytime you mention this 1993 election, Nigerians get really emotional because some persons still believe that we are where we are as a nation because of what happened in 1993. And they also feel that if what happened in 1993 didn't happen, most of the things that we are experiencing today as regards to elections and the crop of leaders that we have, it's not going to happen. So IBB in his autobiography wrote, and I read, undoubtedly credible, free and fair elections were held on June 12, 1993. However, the tragic irony of history remains that the administration that devised a near-perfect electoral system and conducted those near-perfect elections could not complete the process. That accident of history is most regrettable. The nation is entitled to expect my expression of regret. For the very first time, IBB expressed deep regret for the electoral exercise and went further to blame military officers led by Sani Abacha, who was his chief of defense staff then, for annulling the June 12th election without his permission. This is really laughable. Now, let me give you a clear picture of what IBB mean by this. So what IBB clearly means is that as President Bola Tinubu is there at the helm of affairs and the number one in Nigeria, his vice president, Kashim Shettima, would come at his back and make decisions, make laws, and implement it not as if he is sick or he is not around, but under his watch. You know how you say under someone's nose? So that is what IBB is trying to tell us right now. Now you see that thing I am talking about. Our politicians coming back to come and tell us what they think we should know, not actually what we saw, what we observed, or what we saw. People who were alive that time can boldly tell you that this is a big lie. Even Abiola family members, they've actually come out to say, okay, since he actually talked about MKO, does it mean that he is seeking for peace? But the part of him blaming Sani Abacha is also another thing that the family of Sani Abacha has come out to say, IBB, please, can you allow our brother to rest in peace and not give a false representation of what happened during that time? Because how do you come to tell us something that we also... I don't know why our politicians always think that we are, dimwits, that they can just come anytime, just tell us anything, and we are going to believe it. And they don't just tell you anything. They even try to match up their words with actions. You would see them, they are trying to paint a particular image. Before you know what's going on there, they would start initiating things, putting machineries in place to make sure that that particular story they are trying to tell you sails through. So I don't know what IBB is taking us for. Abi, he thinks that we are jokes. I don't know, maybe we are like the floor where he comes and crack jokes, and whatever it is, we are just going to take it. Because how are you coming right now to tell people who are sound, people who are okay, that what they witness was actually a lie, that this is what they should believe? So this is another part where people are having full-blown problem with IBB because, Oga, which kind of lie be this one now? At least if people want to lie, you should lie with fear of God. Tell lies that when people look at it, they'll be like, okay, I think this lie is manageable. But don't come and tell lies that are against each other. You look at the lie, you look at the real story, and they can't even come together. And it makes people feel like they are stupid. Our politicians should stop thinking and stop seeing us like fools, that people that don't have sense. Another takeout, from the IBB's autobiography that has got tongue wagging and eyes rolling, as well as my tongue and my eyes, is execution of a childhood friend, General Maman Vatsa. So many of you have heard about General Maman Vatsa. Now let me tell you a short story about General Maman Vatsa and IBB. So these two persons were childhood friends. They grew up together, were in the same class in school, and rose alongside each other in the military. But things took a different twist when IBB became the head of state. And 4 months into IBB's reign as the head of state. There was a rumor of a coup to overtake his government. This was where the whole Wahala actually started from. The two friends who dined from same plate, who once shared same clothes, who once lived together. In fact, IBB was Vatsa's best friend during his wedding to show you how close they were. All of a sudden moved from being friends to enemies. No wonder they said in politics, you don't have a permanent friend, neither do you have a permanent foe. Your friend today can be your enemy tomorrow, and your enemy tomorrow can even be your friend. So when IBB heard about the planned coup, he also heard that his friend Vatsa was actually the person spearheading the coup. So he accosted his friend and asked him, "How are you now planning a coup against me?" Vatsa said, "I am not part of this." And the person whom they actually mentioned, one of the soldiers who were named to be part of the coup, was also someone that Vatsa had something to do with previously. They had this business deal. And, in IBB's mind, okay, since Vatsa knows this person, that means there's actually a truth in this rumor. And that was how IBB went ahead to arrest his friend, and he started questioning him. Vatsa presented different evidence to exonerate himself from the coup. Even people came in to speak on behalf of Vatsa. The UN even had to intervene, pleading that Vatsa be released, but all this fell on deaf ears. IBB was hell-bent on doing what was in his mind, because to him, if his friend can become his enemy, that means his friend can do the undoable to him. And he also felt that, okay, Vatsa was after his position, and him leaving Vatsa in cells could even mean Vatsa walking behind him to, come and plan or take over from his government. And he did not want any of that to happen. So what IBB did was that he actually executed Vatsa and 9 other soldiers in 1986 in a firing squad. It was indeed a dark day in Nigeria, and so many persons still today have not forgotten, especially the family of Vatsa. So in the book, he said, and I read, "I had to choose between saving a friend's life and the nation's future." And some persons have actually come out to say this is a big lie. No wonder they said, "Now who then queue, nine lose," because Vatsa is not here to come again and say, okay, this is a lie, or to even counter what IBB said. Although his family, they've come out to say that we all know that what you are saying, it's a lie. You just want to paint yourself to be a good person or to be an angel in the sight of people. But please allow our brother to rest peacefully. From what IBB said, as regards to Vatsa, you can see that he is making concerted effort to make himself look like an angel out there. But we know that that is not it. Not that he's not an angel, but maybe 50%, not 100% as he is claiming to be. And there is another thing that is very appalling that we do here in Nigeria. We know how to celebrate corrupt leaders. We don't know how to keep emotions aside, because you would hear some people say, "Oh, it happened 32 years ago. Forgive and forget. Forgive and forget." IBB has a book giving us a different account of what happened during his time. He did not get it wrong in all aspects. In some aspects, he told the truth the way it is, while in some aspects, he had to add 1 or 2 lies to just beef it up and make it suit the image that he is trying to create out there. So we need to change that culture of celebrating corrupt leaders. Look at the crop of people that actually came out to celebrate him. Meanwhile, we had someone who wrote a book exposing the corruption, the ills in the Nigerian judiciary system. What did he get? He was locked up. He's still under trial as we are speaking, and with some restrictions placed on him. But look at the ones that have committed atrocities. They just disappear for a very long time, and then they come back, and what do? We end up glorifying them, giving attention to people who are not supposed to give, to even get that attention. That is the misplaced priority that we always talk about. I bet Buhari would actually come back tomorrow and come and give us a book on what happened during EndSARS protests in 2020, which he had already started because his government account of what happened during EndSARS is totally different from what we saw play out. So if we keep acting like this, best believe that we can never ever get it right, because the mechanism would always be commit atrocities, embezzle funds, do as you like, act like you are in a lawless entity, and then disappear for a very long time, disappear from the corridors of power. After decades, come back as an angel, as someone that has changed, and Nigerians will just worship you. I'm not going to blame some Nigerians. It's all because of poverty. Poverty has been weaponized. Because if poverty is not weaponized, if we have what we are supposed to have, if Nigeria is functioning the way it ought to function, believe me that some persons are not going to be doing what they are doing, because most people are acting because of stomach infrastructure. What are you going to do if you say the truth? What's going to happen to you? How are you going to earn money at the end of the month? How are you going to feed yourself? How are you going to feed your family? But this apart, if we really want to get it right, then we have to say the truth the way it is. And as a politicians too, like I have to say this again, you people should stop thinking that we are fools, like we don't know what you are doing. We clearly understand what you are doing. We know every of your footstep. But because, you've put us in a position where we just have to either believe what you are giving to us or we live with it. But mind you, a time would come that all these things that you people are doing, it's going to backfire, and you are not going to like every or any bits of it. I don't know about you, what you think about the book. If you've read it, A Journey in Service, go ahead in the comment section and share your own opinion, your thoughts, your own idea about what IBB said in that autobiography. My name is Rochelle, thanking you for joining us on today's edition of Kiwi Show. Do well to join us some other time, and please do not forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and give it a thumbs up. Bye for now.